You're listening to Trust Talks, the podcast that brings you real stories and insights from people doing incredible work in our community and beyond. From everyday experts to extraordinary collaborators, whether you're here to learn, get inspired, share a laugh, or just enjoy some honest conversation, we're glad that you're tuning in. Welcome back to another episode of Trust Talks with Tanja and Matt. Today we're diving into the world of alternative therapies.
And today we're joined by Caroline Baker, owner of Soulful Holistic Therapy. She is a holistic therapist specializing in reflexology and aromatherapy.
Let's dive in. We are joined today by the lovely Caroline from Soulful Holistics in Southampton. Hello, Caroline.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm joined by my colleague Tanja as well.
Hey.
And today we're talking about alternative remedies and how they can support conventional treatments and general well-being. So, Caroline, how did it all start? How did you start your career?
Yeah, so it started when I was younger. I was obsessed with animals. So I went to college and I trained to be a veterinary nurse to start with. And I didn't really have, nursing was always in the back of my mind, but I didn't really have the confidence when I first left school. I just thought it was something I wouldn't be able to do. But then being a veterinary nurse for a few years, I kind of thought, actually, I really kind of liked the medical side of it. And then was in a position, went to university, but just loved, I've always just been a very people person. I love just kind of like, I love talking to people, getting to know people, and yeah, just supporting people through different things, really. It's just always been something that's come quite naturally to me. And I was nursing for 12 years in the NHS.
And what inspired you to start Soulful Holistic Therapies?
It was a bit of a gradual process, really. It started when I had my children, and as a mum felt an overwhelming responsibility towards them to kind of support them as naturally and healthily as I could. So it went down the lines of homeopathy, aromatherapy, and then a family member was unwell and conventional treatment wasn't really helping too much. He still felt very unwell, so we again looked at other things like looking at the gut microbiome. So all of that just kind of increased my awareness of what else is available. And then a friend of mine trained in reflexology, and I was a guinea pig, and absolutely just really resonated with me, and I loved the treatment, how I felt. And then I went through a bit of a challenging time in my own life, really stressed, lots of emotions, and she supported me through that with treatments, and I had reiki as well, and it just helped really keep me balanced and in check, really, and managed to get through it with that support. So it just really inspired something in me. And then with my nursing background, I just felt like when I was caring for patients, everyone was carrying a lot of stuff and stress, and life is just so busy, and I just felt there was more we can do to support patients or people that are unwell alongside conventional medicine. And I just was given an opportunity. A friend of mine runs a salon, and she gave me an opportunity to go and work there and build a client base. And I was very scared. It was a big jump, but took a huge leap of faith. And a few months on from them, I'm now completely self-employed. And yeah, I've trained in a few other therapies and have never looked back, really. It's been great.
So for our listeners that might not know the difference between holistic therapies and conventional treatments, what's the difference?
So from my perspective, conventional medicine is kind of looking at symptoms and fixing that with, say, a medication or procedures, operations, that kind of thing. Whereas holistic therapies is more supporting the whole body from a holistic perspective. And from my own experience, when I see my clients, just coming and having a listening ear, some compassion, an hour to switch off, it just supports wherever they're at. It's just like a supportive therapy, really, for whatever they're going through.
And that's, I think, something that's also very close to our trust, is very much like this integrated care approach, isn't it? Because there's a space for everything, whether that be on a spiritual level, a connection between, like human connection.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it?
And then, of course, a space to have that mindfulness in whatever way you may choose to express that.
Yeah, completely. And I think also, like, people that live on their own, like if I'm giving reflexology or massage, and the simple act of a caring touch, releases oxytocin and the feel-good hormones, and that's really healing in itself. Just feeling cared for is massive and probably understated, really.
When you touched on when you were going through a bit of a hard time with stress, I feel like a lot of these, holistic treatments are really, really helpful when we're feeling quite stressed out, and it's a bit of self-care.
Yeah, I mean, stress affects the whole body. So if you're having treatment for anything, then that's great, and will support your symptoms or whatever. But having something to bring some calm and help your body to go into the more relaxed state. Because stress, one might feel it physically in, with an ailment you might have, or in your neck and your shoulders, but the stress goes throughout your whole body down to your sort of capillaries. So having a treatment that relaxes your whole nervous system and treats the whole body in a more holistic way can be really complementary to any other therapy.
Oh, I love a good massage. I mean, I think one of my favorite massages is actually probably a Thai massage, even though it's quite painful.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice.
They can be quite brutal, can't they?
Aromatherapy and massage more for like, a bit more of a softer.
Thai massage,
it's quite hardcore, isn't it?
Like whacking you in the back, aren't they?
No, that's like that's proper. That's like a bit of a flexibility kind of workout as well.
Yeah, I focus more on with the relaxation element. I just feel like our life is so stressful. Like whether we feel outwardly stressed, like we're all carrying so much. It's so instant, constant with our phones, alerts, and I feel like our nervous system hasn't really caught up with it, and we're in a chronic state of sort of stress or fight or flight. It should be a temporary thing, but actually the baseline is sort of elevated massively, and our body hasn't really caught up with it, our brains and our body. So doing anything like,
because you're always on the go, isn't it? It's like non-stop. Even when you think you're not doing something, you're busy.
Yeah, I even catch myself, if you've got a minute with nothing to do, you just grab your phone and you're checking emails or social media or something, and it's like we're never allowing our brains just to like switch off. So just giving yourself an hour or whatever to try and bring your nervous system back to baseline and activate the parasympathetic nervous system.
Could you touch a little bit on what reflexology really is and what are its benefits?
So reflexology is a treatment that's predominantly carried out on the feet, but it can be the hands and the face as well. So all the organs of the body are mapped out on the soles of the feet. So we're just doing a treatment to work specific areas and it's bringing balance to the whole body. But take that away, what the reflexology is, and it's just really relaxing and calming for the nervous system. It can aid sleep, help with stress and anxiety, which are often at the core of a lot of illness, I believe. Well, obviously when we're stressed, lots of people struggle to sleep because their mind's busy, or they're racing, or they go to sleep fine then wake up and can't get back. But often the majority of my clients report sleeping really well after a treatment.
Oh, that is so interesting. So is that one of the main reasons, is that one of the things that people are coming to you for, that they're struggling with sleep?
Yeah, it's kind of part of the symptoms. Yeah, if people have got stuff going on, then sleep is one of the first things to kind of go, isn't it? So that's probably the biggest thing that people report back, is a really good night's sleep, which we all feel so much better, don't we, when we're well rested. So that's invaluable, really.
In your own experience, Caroline, with your own patients that come to you, your clients, have you had any sort of, examples you could share where you've seen some real amazing impact that your treatments have had on them?
The first person that comes to mind, I had a lady who was 40 weeks pregnant, and she was really anxious because her first labour, she was induced, and she had a really traumatic experience. She was really worried she was going to have to be induced again, so we just wanted to reach out and try something to support her. She was just feeling so anxious. So I gave her a treatment, and she said something just like really changed in her whole body. And the next day she did actually go into labour and deliver her baby. So we can't claim it was the reflexology at all. but she really felt like it just switched something in her brain from the anxiety to just feeling much calmer, and her body then did what it needed to do.
I myself am very passionate about health and well-being, and especially within this space where we can empower ourselves with these tools. So is there anything you can share that you feel like a person can do without, let's say they just want to have that moment for themselves, and that they could practice, that could boost their own well-being?
Like by themselves,
yes.
Do you mean? Yeah, so things like meditation's really useful. It's a tool that I use quite regularly. I think sometimes if I'm feeling overwhelmed, it can just really help to just like bring more clarity, better decision making, and things like breath work, or just like sometimes before a stressful event or something, just taking some deep breaths can activate the vagus nerve, which is the parasympathetic nervous system, to help bring some calm. So little things like that, or just being mindful, like when you go out walking, like just listening to the birds and being mindful of where you are and what you're seeing, what you're hearing, rather than checking your phone or thinking about what you have or haven't done. That kind of thing. Even like mindfully eating, like really slowing down and like just tasting everything and each mouthful. Like there's lots of like little ways you can help yourself. And also one of my latest things is like changing habits. It's like rather than listening to the radio or my own Spotify playlist when I'm in the car, like putting on like a podcast that's going to like boost me or lift me up, some good information, or an audible book, that kind of thing. Kind of swapping just like little bits, little things you can do. Doesn't always have to be big things, like little bite-sized chunks.
That's a great idea.
I've swapped out being on my phone in the evening for reading a book.
Amazing.
Because it's just you feel more connected to the real world than you are to
absolutely
what's going on in the internet, I suppose.
Because we were talking about it recently, Matt and I, where sometimes you don't realise it, but you do get caught up in, especially when it does come to social media, and how it can detract you from living, really. But then it just sort of distracts you from maybe a moment you could have done something more for yourself, that and the next thing you know, it's an hour gone, and it's just become a real issue in our society
really
at the moment.
We've forgotten how to kind of just be in the moment, haven't we? Because we're always just doing something, or it's too easy to get distracted. Definitely.
And like you say, when somebody comes to you and they've actually carved out the time, and they say coming for a session, either reflexology or a massage or having some aromatherapy treatment or reiki, that's at least some time that they're spending improving their well-being.
I suppose it's a fixed period where
it's an intentional time, isn't it? Like
you've taken that time out to do.
And actually, I think when people are really stressed, it's really nice to. That's how I felt, anyways. Like handing it over to someone else, like relax me, to put me into that state, rather than it's hard when you're so wired to kind of switch off sometimes. But to actually just hand it over to someone else, it's kind of like there you go. And actually, lots of people say they just had like that hour where they really didn't think. They were able to really switch off, and that's so beneficial for our brain. Yeah.
How do you de-stress after you've given of yourself to your clients? Because I'm sure that's that takes a lot out of you as well. Do you have your own thing that you do to kind of recenter with yourself?
Yeah, I mean, between clients, I'm very mindful of kind of like the energy. So I kind of do certain practices to kind of like clear the energy in the room and myself. And obviously, if I'm not always having the best day, I can be having a bad day. So I obviously don't want to admit that to my clients. So I'm very mindful of like grounding and protecting my space. But also, I go and have treatments with a very good friend of mine who I trained with. I go to her at least monthly. I try and go more if I can, to kind of have to fill my own cup too. And it's really nice to be a client as well, be on the receiving end of it, and what I like and what there's nothing I don't like about it. So, but it's just little things like that, really.
So if someone was new to holistic therapies, where would you recommend that they start? Where's a good introduction?
It's really kind of like just finding what works for you, because what one person really loves, another person may not. So it's just finding what feels right. And it's always good to go with someone that's like a member of a professional body, just because you can do courses online for like nothing, and just someone that like, I'm always happy to have a chat on the phone to someone just to see whether you resonate. I think the person is important. Like you have to align and resonate with the person that you're seeing. So there's no kind of right or wrong way. And also I think it's important, if you are seeking like relief from something, if you have a particular problem, it's good to give it a good few sessions, like close together, to see if it's really going to bring you any benefit. A one-off is lovely, but to see if it's going to really support you, you need a course of treatments, really, weekly.
So from reflexology, massage, aromatherapy and maternity, where do you feel like your passion is lying now, and what are you excited about for the future of your journey in holistic health?
So it's just kind of taken a natural direction of like women's well-being. I feel really passionate about that, women being more in touch with their body, and being that support to women in that way, and through all life's transitions from maternity, fertility, menopause. That seems to be the direction that it's going in.
Wow.
Oh, thanks so much for joining us, Caroline.
So much for coming in today. Yeah.
Thank you so much for inviting me and having me. It's been a real honour.
It's been really interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
A big thank you to Caroline from Soulful Holistic Therapies for chatting to us today. If you're interested in learning more about some of the holistic therapies that we discussed in this episode, the NHS website has a great resource of information about complementary and alternative medicine.
Remember to like and subscribe. We also would love to hear your feedback. If you'd like to get in touch with us, just search on socials for Hampshire and Isle of Wight Healthcare and drop us a message. See you in the next episode.